Welcome back to my channel, Fazbear's Menagerie of Madness, where I'll explore the universe of Five Nights at Freddy's and I hope in a new and unique interpretation of events. So, sit back, grab that popcorn, and let's dive into the intriguing world of Five Nights at Freddy's. Fazbear Entertainment has made the experience at the Mega Pizzaplex better. In an experience similar to that of a video game, the customer can experience the VR world in the real world. Fazbear Entertainment can fabricate any ride they want. This is not only limited to rides, but objects such as crates, pizza boxes, doors, and signs are already being created within the Mega Pizzaplex. The customers may not even be aware of them. That would be a great idea for the Pizzaplex if it was for the problems associated with the VR attractions outlined throughout the Tales from the Pizzaplex book series. Stories such as Under Construction, Drowning, and The Monty Within are showing the dangerous aspects to this new technology. Along with this new technology rollout are the use of security nodes that exist to contain and isolate programs that stray from their set locations. Within the mesh network, these nodes are isolating the dangerous animatronics programs and allowing movement to the technicians and good animatronics to where they are needed. This idea could be similar to the safe rooms within the original restaurants. The area animatronics couldn't go. Now the animatronics and programs are more advanced, a better system was required. All Class 5 technicians have the benefit of accessing this network using the Fazbear-provided Vanny Mask. This item is their virtual augmented neural network integration unit that grants the user the ability to see this other world. The mask must pair the user with the network wirelessly with its occipital transponder, a small procedure that can be done upon first wearing the provided mask. With only minimal stinging to the user, the wearer of the mask will then be able to distinguish VR from reality. Without the implants, you will not be able to tell the difference. Throughout the Mega Pizzaplex, there have been security nodes that exist only in the VR world to keep any rogue programs contained and away from customers and employees until Fazbear technicians can resolve the problem. This appears to be the role of the mesh network security. Fazbear Entertainment is no stranger to the VR rides within the Pizzaplex and also to the problems that can happen within the games. From the story Under Construction, the VR booth is playing the game called The World Celebrates You, in which Maya experiences a year's worth of memories within the ride. It is unclear whether she ever left the ride. The last thought we are aware of is her thinking when death would come for her. Within the story Drowning, Kara experiences an attraction called The Resort. During her short time in the attraction, she is pursued by an entity who wishes to drag her under the water. The entity is ultimately successful and Kara's consciousness never leaves the ride. What is Fazbear Entertainment to do except create a guardian to resolve the problem? Introduced in the Ruin DLC, along within the Mesh Network, is VR Bonnie, a purely digital guardian whose role appears to be to help people exit the VR experience after a reasonable length of time. Not limited to only customers, employees using the Vanny Mask will also be ejected from the space after this limited time. Fazbear Entertainment needs to ensure anyone using this technology is safe, therefore VR Bonnie will eject the user and also summon a guardian animatronic to attend to the user upon leaving the VR world. This should be the solution to the problems at the Pizzaplex, although it was never that easy. Following the earthquake that caused extensive damage throughout the building as well as the hacking of the animatronics by Vanny, there are no longer any safe guardian animatronics left. Anyone exiting the VR world would be faced with a hacked animatronic that does not have the user's safety in mind. The Mexus system is the device that appears to give VR Bonnie the ability to move throughout the mesh network. Bonnie, the security guard of the mesh network, can only interact with those in his world and leaves the real world to others. Although I suspect not every program is willing to follow his rules. One of the many programs within the Pizzaplex is Helpy. Another entirely digital character, Helpy represents the Fazbear technician's wireless helper throughout the VR world. Likely contained within his designated area within the mesh network, Helpy seems to have other plans for his future. From the moment the MaskBot hands Cassie the technician's mask, intended only for Fazbear employees, Helpy is ensuring Cassie gets to the underground area of the Pizzaplex. In order to get Cassie to the Pizzaplex, I would suggest Helpy gave the Mimic the Freddy communicator. Giving the Mimic the recordings from the Fazwatch during the events of the Security Breach game, Mimic could learn to speak like Gregory. While drawing Cassie into the underground, Helpy would convince Cassie the security nodes are there to work against her. While I think the real plan of Helpy is the disabling of the nodes that keep him within the walls of the abandoned Pizzaplex. Once Cassie disables the Mexi system, this would contain VR Bonnie. Helpy at that point is no longer any help to Cassie, and the jamming signal ends, allowing Gregory the means to contact Cassie. This suggests to me that Helpy is escaping at that point. One of the finales we get at the end the Ruin DLC is called the Brazil ending. While still in the sub-basement levels below the Pizzaplex, Cassie is now wearing her mask and has entered the VR world. From our previous encounter with the prototype Freddy body, we know that not all objects in the real world will cross over the VR world. Prototype Freddy is invisible to Cassie while she wears the mask. We know from seeing Roxy's face coverings that some VR projections can only exist in the VR world for the newer models. I think the prototype Freddy's body could be too old to interact with the VR world. The other animatronics could be newer and go towards explaining Roxy's illusion of a face. The Mimic is also old. Very old, and I suspect could not interact with Cassie while she is wearing the Vanny mask. Without VR Bonnie to kick her out of the VR world, Cassie is safe for a while. She can move freely around the sub-basement, unseen by the Mimic. We know from the alternative elevator ending that Roxy is likely still functional. This I suspect is why Cassie can still hear Roxy through the walkie-talkie she is holding. The last time the Mimic was using that walkie-talkie was in the room we last see Roxy fighting in. If Roxy is only partially active following the fight, then Cassie could return for her before the next game. VR Bonnie has a feeling of being the big bad of the Ruin DLC, although I think his actions were done to protect the people and restrain the rogue programs. When Cassie disabled him, she was effectively opening the door for any program to escape the Pizzaplex. The VR world has now been left lawless and without its sheriff. One last speculation. In the Brazil finale, we see the image of Helpy in front of 5 colored balloons. Those balloons have previously been connected with the missing children's incident of 1987. It should also be noted that Helpy's ice cream is multicolored and the same colors as those balloons. I would speculate that Helpy could have been created from the remaining emotions and remnant from older animatronics linked with the victims from the past. Maybe Helpy has become the offspring of those who had suffered for so long. Given purpose by their lingering emotions, Helpy is helping himself, even at the expense of Cassie's safety. Thanks for staying with me till the end. Subscribe to see more future content.